All right, guys, back to work tonight. Sorry I'm late. Sorry to keep you waiting here this evening, but it's about that time of day again, though, isn't it? Right? I hope you guys had a fantastic day out there, but it's time to be ready for tomorrow. Thursday is not going to trade itself. It is Wednesday evening after all. It's the 8th day of December, 2021. My name is Joseph, and as always, welcome back to your nightly newsletter. Now, if you're watching for the first time tonight, it is great to have you with me. My job tonight is to help us fund the best trades, setting up for Thursday's trading session. I have a lot to cover in tonight's video. Got a bunch of great trades we're watching for Thursday. All the charts are already in the background. As you can see, got the S&P, the Nasdaq, the oil. Everybody's here. Glad to see you are here right along with us. Boy, we got some breakout trades I'm watching, maybe some shorts off the highs we're watching here for tomorrow. Now, got a lot to cover tonight. Before we jump into the video tonight, make sure you subscribe. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video. I keep these videos coming every week on this YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe. If you guys have any questions, drop those questions in the comments section. Don't be bashful asking questions. And if you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoy making it, hit that like button. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. But make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the week. In the meantime, let's get this video going. I know, better late than never. Had a little bit of technology problems this week, but we're going to finish up on a good note here this evening. Getting ready for Thursday's trading session. What's going on here right now? Well, I'll tell you, everything is bullish. You can see, right? The S&P is bullish. The Nasdaq's pretty bullish. The oil is bullish. And, the buyers kind of managed to scrape together some momentum. Boy, those shorts off the highs just work great. We talked about that in last night's newsletter. But as you can see, though, buyers definitely have kind of clawed their way back into this market right now. But I'll tell you, it is tough to want to be a buyer right now. We have stacks on stacks of resistance overhead here on all three of these markets. And we've got ranges, magnets, right, waiting down below here. So, whenever I have these situations, we've got a bunch of resistance up overhead. We got ranges acting as magnets down below. I'm looking for shorts right now. I would gladly look for the long side here, but we have to get some proof. We got to get some proof of some breakouts. So I definitely have some breakouts I'm watching. Pretty much all three of these markets are very similar in that sense. So I got some breakouts I'm watching. I've got some definite reversals I'm watching as well. And not to worry, I'm going to make sure by the end of this video tonight, you'll know my favorite trades for tomorrow. You'll also know some stuff to avoid to keep yourself out of trouble as well. Now, speaking of tomorrow, let's make sure we check the calendar here real quickly. I know we're running a little bit late here tonight, so I'll make it relatively brief. Tomorrow, of course, is the 9th day of December. Now, as I mentioned in last night's video, we have that jobless claims report tomorrow at 8:30, but I wouldn't expect that to be a big market moving event. The most important thing for tomorrow is we are watching for contract rollover right now on the Emini S&P. On the S&P and the Nasdaq. It's a little bit difficult to tell whether we're going to get it tonight and be trading the rollover tomorrow, or we'll get the rollover tomorrow night and go into it on Friday. But, as I mentioned in last night's video, we're currently on the 1221 contract right now for all the E-minis, the S&P and the Nasdaq. Once the volume is greater on the 321 contract, on that March 2022 contract, that's when we go to start trading on that 0322 contract. Now, right now, the volume hasn't quite moved over yet. So tonight, we're going to analyze the 1221 for the S&P and the Nasdaq. Oil does not have to worry about this until a few more weeks from now. It's just the E-mini S&P and the Nasdaq. But be aware, though, guys and gals, once we see that volume kind of roll over to that 0322 contract, that's when we'll make the jump and we'll just begin trading on that 0322 contract. I know it's a bit confusing, so don't forget, we're going to make sure we're doing this tomorrow together in the trade room. That way everybody kind of knows how to do this correctly. But it might happen overnight. It might happen early tomorrow morning. It may happen at some point late in the day tomorrow. We'll know more once we get there. So keep that on your radar for tomorrow. We get some we get some news at 8:30, but I wouldn't expect that news to be a big market mover. The rollover is kind of the biggest variable that we're dealing with right now. And as I mentioned in last night's video, tomorrow night's newsletter, Thursday night, is my final nightly newsletter of the year 2021. I'll take my kind of yearly break at the end of the year, and we'll come back and we'll crush this stuff together early January. January, come back the first week in January after the new year. All right, guys? So watch the rollover for tomorrow. Again, tomorrow night's video, the final newsletter of the year 2021. And don't forget, if you want to navigate this stuff, if you want to trade this with us every day in the trade room, I'll put all of the membership details, all the links you guys need to get registered. I'll put that stuff right in the description of the YouTube video. So grab that link, get registered, and we'll trade the rollover day tomorrow together, opening up at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Let's get back to our charts here right now, and let's kind of put this game plan together. Again, everything's pretty bullish right now, but stacks on stacks of resistance levels above and ranges below really do make our job relatively difficult to be a buyer. Let's jump into the S&P first. Again, you'll notice once again, I'm on the 1221 contract right now. Tomorrow, this may be the 322 contract. So just be aware of that. So just again, this is always one of the kind of the harder parts about my job is we may roll over, midnight tonight. The volume may start to roll over in the overnight. Anyways, long story short, what happened here today? The market, of course, rolled over off those highs as we'd expected in last night's video. We, of course, move lower. We go into a trading range. The market kind of runs around sideways for a while. We punch lower. And now we've ultimately kind of completed the pendulum swing, right? The buyers have rotated up off that low. And you'll notice the amount of the move below the range is pretty much equal to the amount of the move up above that range, right? So we're sitting at what I call pendulum resistance right now, right? The pendulum swings down, the pendulum swings back up. You can also see too, if I connect a trend line off these lows and bring it up around these highs, boy, is that tough to ignore, right? That kind of hidden channel, very, very difficult, to ignore. So again, we've got, channel resistance. We have pendulum swing resistance. You could even go as far as to look left back here, right? I can't go all the way back right now, but there is a ton of resistance kind of stacked up here from a few weeks ago. So we have a lot of overhead resistance. The buyers have control though. You can definitely see that, right? You can definitely see the buyers came in, they've jumped, kind of off that moving average. This is a bull market right now, but again, lots of momentum, lots of resistance here overhead and that range down below. We know that ranges act like magnets. So really at this point, the buyers have to prove to us they want to keep this party going, or else we're just going to keep on looking to short this thing back down into that trading range. So, first of all, how would I sell this market as it kind of pulls back right now? Now, the key is to remember, when you have a bullish market and you're trying to short, you always want to make sure you're doing it at a major turning point, right? Like a pendulum swing or a channel, right? You want to make sure you're at some level of resistance. So we don't just, sell bull markets in the middle of nowhere. And then you want to start looking for exhaustion. And an easy way to think about exhaustion is to use the 2-try rule, right? So as we pull back now, what you really want to see is you want to see these buyers try a couple times, right? Try once, try twice. And there's a couple different ways you can kind of find the entry on this. One of my favorite entries is a trap right above that high, right? We call these 2-try failures with a trap entry off the high. That's one of my favorite ways to short this. Another way to do it, a little simpler, is to mark up a trend line off that low, draw that trend line up off that major high, and short off that kind of, hidden channel, if you will, right? So the bottom line is, I'd like to sell this thing short, but I have to wait for the buyers to show some signs of exhaustion, right? So 1, 2 here for the buyers. Now, if I can get those buyers to fail and start to drop back down again, remember, there's a big bullseye now right on that low, right? So now trade the turn. And when I say trade the turn, one of my favorite ways to do that is to find a new channel by drawing off those new lower lows, find a trend line, I should say, use that trend line to find a channel, and then simply start looking for one of my favorite kind of entry setups, which would be a trap setup off the high of that channel, right? So we get a 2-try failure. Okay, two-try failure, and then grab that first trap setup. You'll see I kind of draw that, right, off the high, and we're trying to run back down to that low. Kind of one of my favorite ways here to kind of short in a bull market, right, as we hopefully get that rotation all the way back down again. Now, what if we just simply drop? What if the market simply drops? If the market drops, be aware of those traps again, right? So if the market simply drops and kind of falls like a rock here, again, think about how you can find that kind of hidden channel. Think about how you can grab that trap, right, and try to get in. Sometimes you might not get that trap, right, and you may have to use some different entry setups like failures or pullbacks off the high of that channel. Now, I'm running kind of late tonight on this video. I want to go over more details of kind of the specific techniques I'll be using to take those trades short tomorrow in the trade room. What I'll do is I'll put a lot more detail into that. I'll put a little link up here for you inside our quick start class, right? So if you want more details on how we actually trigger the entries, right, how we qualify the trades, find the channels, find the entry signals, and everything in between, I'll put a little link up top there for our quick start class. I'll tell you, if you're like me and you're trying to earn daily income in these markets, that quick start class will give you a clear roadmap to follow, the same roadmap we use in our trade room. So grab that link, get registered, and I'll see you on that free class. That way, the next time I say, to try failure into hidden channel pullback, you'll know exactly what I mean. What if the market goes higher here? What can I do if we go higher here? Okay, as we go, if we go higher here, again, I can keep selling this, right? I can keep looking for that pop up, right? That 1, that 2, and that, again, trade the turn. So not a lot changes, right? Not a lot changes as we go higher. What would a breakout look like, though, as we go higher, right? How would we break out and go higher? What would it take for me to want to be a buyer? What would it take for me to want to be a buyer? Well, we'd have to see a pop-up. The buyers will have to hold a pullback and jump through those highs. Okay, this may not be easy. That's why I'm saying it may not be easy right now to be a buyer. Now, we have a ton. You can see this is the Thanksgiving high. We have that, what is that, all-time high back there? Yeah, all-time high back there at 47.40. But you'll notice that's the Thanksgiving high right there at 47.17, right? So we go back to the chart here now at 47.17. We've really got to get some strength going higher here for me to have the confidence to be a buyer on this. And again, what I've been looking for here is looking for a pop-up, right? Let those buyers now hold that pullback and show me they really want this, right? Because again, this range is acting as a magnet. These highs are acting as resistance. But if I can get this 1, 2, 3 breakout, right? 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern, I can now mark up a new channel and I can now find the entry off that channel. And again, I'm a little bit late on time here tonight, so I'm not going to go over all the specific kind of entry techniques, but we'll cover those, of course, right inside that quick start class that I mentioned earlier. Now, there are a couple more breakout patterns that I can use going higher here. Let's cover those a little bit later on in the video, all right? I'll cover more of that in the Nasdaq and the oil as well. I get a lot more I want to cover as far as the buy side here right now, but let's keep going, right? So on the S&P, they got to go up, they got to hold, and they got to blast, right? They've really got to jump off that moving average. I'm going to find that channel. I'm going to buy that first test, right? Because the first test is always the best test, as we say on this video newsletter, right? We're going to talk more about breakouts here as we go deeper into this video here. S&P's looking pretty good, though. Looking pretty good here if we can get a good short. How about the Nasdaq here right now? I'll tell you, Nasdaq is a very similar situation, right? As we talked about last night, we get that 1, that 2, that failure back down. We basically, on the NQ, again, we are watching rollover here coming in tomorrow, right? This is the 12/21 contract. We are watching the 03/22 contract tomorrow. We basically roll over, right? And we go sideways into a trading range. Now, I will definitely say the buyers have a lot more to work with on the Nasdaq than they do on the S&P. On the S&P, we had already completed a pendulum swing. There's a channel kind of hidden up there, major tops right there. So the S&P looks a little bit riper, right, for the short right now. The Nasdaq definitely has a little more, I would say a lot more potential to run higher. But just like the S&P, where exactly do I want to buy up here again, right? With this range acting as a magnet. Where exactly do I want to buy? Because as you can see, if I look a little bit left here, there is a ton of tops up here right now. And so just the idea of buying into that high just doesn't exactly sit very well with me here for tomorrow. So just like on the S&P, we're going to really have to get a strong, not just a pop, but they have to hold that pop, right? It's not enough to get a strong move up. They have to hold that move and really go, right? To actually be able to prove to us that these buyers have control. So, again, how do we buy it? How do we sell it? A lot of this is very similar in the sense that, as we go higher here, we've got major areas of resistance. The best way to sell this market, selling it really is the easier way to do it. Wait for the one, wait for the two. Again, maybe we find that hidden channel, or maybe we grab that trap and drop it off a trap like that. It doesn't really matter to me how we sell it, right? We'll look for one of those, those short signals. Once we get that signal, right, we trade the turn as we go down, find that new channel off of that high, right? Find that. Again, I like to look for those traps above those highs, but this could be really any of the entry setups to talk about in that quick start class, right? So again, you got your buyer failure, right? You got your first test of that channel. Where's my target? Yeah, all the way back down, right, to retest the high. That's a pretty simple one there. And then as we go higher here, let's say they pop up here overnight. Let's say they hold that pullback and they jump off the moving average, right? What do we call those? 1, 2, 3 breakouts. Remember, you got to hold it though, right? And we've seen some pretty strong moves higher recently the last few days. We haven't seen them able to hold yet. So they have to hold that pullback. If they can, I'll mark up that new channel, right? We'll drill down to our faster time frame. This is a 4,000 tick chart. We're not going to trade off of that. Our next level is that 16,598 and 3/4, right? That'll be our next level, kind of going higher from there. So we go up, we hold, we jump, we find that channel, we drill down to our faster time frame, right? We find our traps, our failures, our pullback combinations off of that low. What would be another possible long trade as we're going? A long trade here, a breakout trade. How about what if the market kind of rips? Right? What if we really rip and run higher? If it really rips and runs higher, I like to look for what I call basically a two-try breakout. So strong move up, shallow pullback, higher high in price, and a trap. Now, these types of trades, right, especially when you take them right into overhead resistance, they may not go gangbusters for you, but they almost always will get you at least a little bit. I always say take a 1-to-1 risk reward, right? So, size of the setup is the size of the first target. Remove that risk and leave the runner to see how far it'll go. I call these two-try breakouts. Again, really strong, right? That's the key here. Really strong pop up. Shallow pullback drives all the buyers crazy because everybody wants to buy off that pullback, right? And then, of course, the higher high confirms the move. Now, think about that breakout pattern, right? And then think about what happened over here. Okay, as we go up, see what happens here? It's a lower high now. See, that's what you want to avoid, right? If this would have been a strong move up, shallow pullback, higher high, yeah, now you could say, okay, there's a buy right there. So it's really important as we go higher, right? And again, we can still go the 1, 2, 3 breakout, but as we go higher, it's just really important that they, again, hold that pullback, make a higher high, and then you've got that trap, right? It's a pretty easy pattern setup, but you got to make sure you get those rules, right? You really got to have those rules, right, to line up there. And then, honestly, from there, again, we've got the next level overhead here, right, at that 16,598. The one thing you're going to want to worry about as we get up around these highs is to make sure you keep an eye on that trend line. I want to make sure you guys kind of keep an eye on that because as we go higher here, just remember to make sure to keep you guys alert on this. As we go higher here, and you'll see this in a second on the oil, right? As we go higher here, we got to be very careful with that 1, 2, and shorten back down into that trend line. You'll see why in a few minutes here when I get over to the oil chart, right? Trust me, you'll see that here in a second. If we do have a trend line coming up, once we get that 1, 2, we can do now is get underneath and use it, right? So use that trend line as that level of, again, you want to see at least 2, right? So at least 2 tries. This 2 try could be 1, it could be 2, right? That could do it. Or it could be, right? Or we could go up, we could 1, we could 2, and then same thing, right? You want to get underneath it, right? And use it. And then again, if we can get that short coming off the high there, same idea, right? Mark up that new channel, grab that first test off of that high, right? It's a buyer failure pattern, but again, watch that trend line coming up, hit it on the underbelly of that trend line, and then again, drill down, find the bull trap, find the buyer failure, find that short off that channel, right, as we go. At that point, easy, right? Easy pickings. Put a target at the low of that range, leave a runner down to those big lows at, 245, 235, and you're good to go. That'll be a great short there if we can get it. Again, though, right now, though, don't forget, it's a bull market. Right? We're not going to short this thing until we see that exhaustion as we go. And I've given you 2 breakout patterns, right? The 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern and the 2 try breakout pattern. Let's keep going because oil will kind of help us bring all of this together here, right? Oil will definitely make this a bit easier. Not easier, but you'll see a lot of other examples here on the crude oil. So finishing up tonight on the oil chart, oil is pretty much flat as a board right now. You'll notice the market really didn't give you any directional bias. We pretty much opened up. We go up, down, up, down. We pretty much rotate, back and forth inside of this trading range. Much like the S&P, you can see here that the buyers have completed their what I call pendulum swing. Right? I call these pendulum swings because ranges are balanced areas. And so the amount we swing below is oftentimes the amount we swing above. And you can see that's pretty much exactly where we're sitting right now. At the same time, you can also see it doesn't take a very experienced chartist or technician, right, to draw that trend line across and see that is an area of resistance. And then simply look left and you can see there are some more areas of resistance, right? And we're also sitting right at a big top over there. So there's no shortage of resistance levels. The market is definitely bullish. You can definitely see, right? Longer picture is bullish here. Short term, we're making higher highs and higher lows. The buyers are doing a very good job at holding price above the moving average right now. And you can see as an example here, we talked about this a moment ago on the Nasdaq. You can see this trend line, right? So here's a really good example of why you want to be paying attention to those trend lines, because as you go, right, you go up, you run into resistance, we start seeing exhaustion. There's your 1, there's your 2, beautiful, but not great location, right? So we have to get what? We got to get underneath this thing and use this, right? So we're going to talk about kind of how to do that tonight on this chart. And then, of course, you could also say, too, that out of all 3 of these markets right now, the oil probably has the easiest job for a successful breakout, because you'll notice there's a big wide open space right there. And, more importantly, it's not just a wide open space, it's also kind of a short squeeze. Now, I had talked about how $75 a barrel was a really attractive area earlier this week, and I still do believe that 75 is a should be relatively easy to achieve if these buyers can crack this 73 level here, but again, that is a big if. The oil has not very much room to go before we break out. The Nasdaq has all of this space, right? So that's why I said earlier, the Nasdaq has a lot of potential here right now, but they may not be able to actually crack it going higher here. The S&P definitely does, but again, the S&P has to get through some of these key areas of resistance there as well. So I would say oil definitely has potential to be a breakout or, whatever, a buy going higher here. We've talked a lot about reversals and breakouts, and we'll talk about a couple more variations here right now. So let's do this. Let's talk about, okay, how do we buy it, right? That obviously is something we should be thinking about here on the oil, right? Bull market, we get higher highs, higher lows. We're at resistance, but how do we buy it, right? So one would be that 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern. Okay, that's always one of my favorites. Okay, again, make them jump off the moving average, find that channel, drill down, right? Find your entry off of that low. And again, if you want help with your entry techniques, right, kind of getting those real precise entry timings, I cover all my favorite entry techniques, all my entry patterns, all my entry rules inside that free quick start class. So definitely grab that link that popped up there earlier. Again, I'll put all the important links in the upper right-hand corner. I'll put them all in the description of this YouTube video as well. Just grab that and you'll learn more about things like traps and failures and all the rules we use every day in our trade room. And then, of course, the second one was a 2-try breakout, right? Strong move up, shallow pullback, higher high in price. Remember, make sure we get the right rules to line up on this, right? There's that trap entry. That's a great breakout, especially since we have that trend line right there, you know, kind of keeping away the sellers, if you will, right? How about a third one here? How about a third one? A third breakout pattern I think we can definitely get excited about would be a breakout pullback, right? A breakout pullback. So imagine now, right? Imagine now this is an area of resistance, but imagine now it becomes an area of support, right? So we pop up, this trend line comes around, right? The trend line's still there, right? We pop up, we pull back, we get underneath the moving average now, and we trap in those bears, right? Let me extend out this trend line a little bit further because it's a very important part of this, right? So that trend line is going to keep away the bears. It should at least, right, for now. Okay, so we pop up, right? Big, strong pop up. Again, maybe it's a 1, 2, 3 breakout. I don't know. We pop up, right? We then slam right back down. Big pop up, big deep pullback now. Now, again, this point now, all that overhead resistance can be used as support. As long as that move higher can get that moving average up above these highs, okay, I call that acceptance. We talk about that in that free quick start class. Now what I want to do is I want to try to trap in those bears. I'm hoping now that sellers are going to come in. I'm hoping that sellers are going to come in here and try to short this thing back down into that trading range. Okay, now remember, anytime we see a strong move in one direction, it's almost a guarantee we retest those extremes. So if I can get that bull pop up and I can come back, get that moving average above that 73, if I can see these bears now get caught, right, getting short here, I can use that as a seller failure pattern and I can buy right into those stop losses, right? Think about stops, right? They're sitting right above that high. And so now all that bullishness, they want to go back and retest the high. I can now use a failure setup, right? Literally buying the stops. I can buy that first pullback, right, off the moving average, failure, pullback combination. And then keep in mind on this, and this goes for all the other markets as well, the breakout leg, right? That breakout leg will be used as the measuring leg. Okay, so that's going to tell us where, kind of what specifically that target should be as we go higher. And again, we'll do this together tomorrow morning in the trade room, right? So, not to worry. I don't expect you to learn all this stuff here tonight in the video, but we'll do it together tomorrow morning. Obviously, in our trade room, and then one more breakout pattern. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. So at this point, we've talked about 3 of the breakouts going higher here, right? The 1, 2, 3 breakout, the 2-try breakout, right? In that breakout pullback. Okay, how do we short this? And then we'll kind of bring together one more breakout pattern, if you will, right? That can also be applied to the buy side here. How do we short off the high? Again, we got to get underneath this trend line, right? So we got the 1, we got the 2, right? We want to short off of that trend line right now. That's a pretty good setup. I like that one. Now, remember at that point, right? If we do get that, again, that 1, 2, and that short, I can now, right, find that new channel, and I can, as we always say, I can trade the turn. Right? I can trade the turn. I can sell off, again, the failure. right? I can sell that trap. And this, I'm simply saying trap, but this could be a trap. It could be a buyer failure. It could be a pullback combination. Again, this is the stuff we learn in that free trading class I mentioned earlier, but that's how we trade, right, the turn. Now, what if it doesn't turn, right? What if the market just simply sinks and starts to kind of grind down and grind down? Then what do we do? Well, we know where the market wants to go, right? It wants to take out those lows. It wants to complete another pendulum swing, right? Okay, so what do we do if it just kind of sinks and runs lower here? We draw a trend line nice and steep off those lows. We bring it right up around that high, right? And then, of course, we look for that trap, right? Now, oftentimes, these will be traps into buyer failures, into pullback combinations, right? So trap, buyer failure, pullback combination. Again, you'll see more examples of these. I have hundreds of examples of these inside that free quick start class. And so we want to see it roll over and then again, trade that, right? Trade that turn as we go. So we got a couple options, right, for this market. The ideal would be, let's get another lower low, let's get up and short it back down, grab that new channel, right, and hit it again off that high, right? If all it does is just double top and start to collapse, right, and run lower here, find that new channel, don't chase it, and you want that first test, right? The first test is always the best test. Maybe it's a trap off that, right, off that high. And this, by the way, this kind of grind down, this can also work as we go higher too, right? This could also work for the Nasdaq and the S&P, right? So now we pop up. We don't pop, pull back, and go, right? We don't pop, pull back, and right? We pop and we start to grind. We grind, right? Same thing here, guys. Mark up that high. Mark up that low. I like to always look for those prior swings, get that nice deep pullback, right? Get underneath the moving average, trap, failure, pullback combination. Again, that breakout leg is the measuring leg, right? That breakout leg is the measuring leg as we go higher. And again, 74 and 74, 76 right there, right, is the level. But I would imagine if these buyers get a good strong rip going higher here, they're going to want to push that thing through that 75. 75 is a pretty good round number. But right now, though, again, all three of these markets, they're all bullish, right? They are all bullish right now. But boy, oh boy, is it tough to want to buy these markets here. Again, we're going to keep our eyes here on the market analyzer, right? Once that, see right now, that 322 contract, see that? The 1221 has all the volume right now, right? So we're definitely trading the 1221 contract at this point, but a lot can change between now and tomorrow morning. So we're going to keep our eyes on the volume. We're going to watch that contract roll over. And again, if you need any help along the way, come out and trade it with us. We'll be in the trade room every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll put all the good stuff you guys need in the description of the YouTube video. And thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, guys. If you have any questions, drop those questions in the comment section. I hope by now you've hit the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're going to keep this party going all week here this week. If you have any questions about membership, again, don't forget, call the office. I would love to help out any step of the way. As always, thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry to keep you waiting so long here tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 o'clock Eastern time. If not, we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon for the next edition of our nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.